So this is the third installment in our private equity series. So we started by talking about the type of transactions, sectors that private equity are interested in, and the size, and then we moved on to sources of capital. And last time we spoke about a large, sophisticated private equity fund with committed capital. There's two other sources of capital we're going to chat about today. We'll start by the opposite end of the spectrum. So these are professionals who have loose affiliation with equity, shall we say. They know what they're doing. However, when you ask them how much equity they can put in a transaction, for instance, their response is, well, there's no practical limit as long as the deal is right. Well, that's code to say they don't have a blind pool or committed capital fund. They're relying on third-party equity providers to back them once they reach a deal. So as a vendor, not only do you have to reach business terms with this group, and let's call them fundless sponsors, but afterwards, the fundless sponsor have to go shop the deal to equity providers, and there's a risk that the money will not show up. One of the telltale signs is they typically ask for longer standstill periods because they need that buffer and that time to finance the transaction. It also adds a layer of a middleman because the professionals are going to want a cut of the deal. And all other things being equal, the equity provider will pay a little bit less for the business since they have to cut someone else in than they would otherwise if they were dealing directly with the vendor. Now the next class, and by no means the final class we're going to talk about, is the family office. Now these are typically individuals who have built up their own business and usually have focused, concentrated way and had their own liquidity event. Now they've created a fund and they're looking to go out and invest it. One of the key with them is their first priority is capital preservation. They're not looking to repeat the upside that they had from doing their first transaction or the previous generation's success. They're looking to preserve capital, number one. Number two is they're looking for an appropriate rate of return on that capital. They tend to be more risk adverse, which means they use less leverage, for instance, but they also make quicker decisions, and they'll also tend to do more contrarian plays. And part of the reason for that is because they use less leverage, their capital structure can take greater stressors. They can also tolerate longer periods of time of cycles with that capital structure. They're looking to clip coupons not for 5 to 10 years, but for decades or other generations. That's it for private equity. Next month, we're going to venture slightly away from corporate finance again, and I look forward to that. Thanks.